Hey guys, welcome to the Massive Iron channel. Let me see if I can get this a little bit better over here. All right, let's try that. Sorry about any confusion. There were some technical difficulties. YouTube was messing with me and I couldn't get the live video stream to work properly. Go figure. That's life with YouTube. I sent out everybody a information that this thing was going to be live, and then I had to reboot, redo things, which is a pain in the ass, but sorry, such is life with YouTube. So I'm just glad I got this thing to finally work. It's been a while since I did a live video, and glad to have you guys on board. Generally, I stay on for about an hour. If you have any questions, drop them down. I answer all questions, lifting, nutrition, weight loss, whatever it happens to be. So just drop them in. If I miss your questions, head over to Instagram at Ben the Barman, at Ben the Barman, at Ben the Barman. Slide into my DM with your questions, and I will answer them. I try to answer every question. So I'm just getting my chat up so I can read it a little bit more. How's everybody doing? Where's everybody tuning in from today? It's probably been a couple months since I did a YouTube live. So drop me a comment. Let me know where you guys are from. I will be dropping in the link to this video, some coaching specials if anybody needs coaching. I'm offering a first free month of coaching when it comes to fat loss, weight loss, and for power building. You can check out the link down below as well. I'm going to post that after this video is done. After this video is done, if you're curious about my coaching, you can reach out at Instagram at Ben the Barman, at Ben the Barman. So it's good to be back on live. It's been a long time. Glad to have you up. What's going on? The Larsons are in the house. Joshua, how's it going, Joshua? Joshua's listening to Sabbath. He's from Indiana. Dan from New Jersey. Can't wait. I'm working hard on that strength program, Dan. Douglas, howdy out here in Australia. Is that Australia? All right, awesome. And let's see, Brett is tuning in from Wyoming. Adam is from upstate New York. I spent a lot of time around Buffalo area doing a little bit of hiking. Mike from Michigan. Knowledge is Power tuning in from Oklahoma. Dubai is in the house. That's, you know what? That's one of the best things about doing a channel like that. Thanks, Mike. One of the best things about doing a channel like this is I get to meet people all over the world, get to coach people all over the world. I have clients in Australia. I have clients in Afghanistan, Ireland, you name it, all over the freaking world. So that's a cool thing. It's really nice to connect with lifters from the global community. What's going on, England? I'm going to go out and get a couple of Englands back to back. What's going on? We're going to Scotland next month, not too far away, but unfortunately not from England. What's going on, Croatia? Yeah, guys, drop your questions down. As many questions as you want. I'll handle them. Diet, nutrition, training, off topic, just general BS, doesn't really matter. I'd be glad to answer your questions. And again, if I miss your question, head over to, thanks, Mike Bell, head over to Instagram at Ben the Barman. Sometimes when I do these things, YouTube will drop the question, or I won't see the question. So if I miss your question, I assure you it is not me. It is just, YouTube being a pain in the ass. Yeah, it's been too long. My lifting schedule or my running schedule has been really crazy. Thanks, Mike. My running schedule has been crazy. You know, we're doing a marathon on Christmas Eve to support the charity runforaiden.com. So, all right, we finally got a question. That's what I like to see because that's what I'm here for, and I'll try to keep up on the questions. Thoughts on Reg Park's 5x5? It's a good program. The main issue I have with 5x5 programs is that I don't like arbitrary set and rep schemes for all lifts. What I mean is, squat and bench, I think a 5x5 is a good protocol. When we start digging into doing 5x5s on every movement, I don't feel 5x5s are great for military presses. I feel shoulder endurance is always an issue, meaning when it comes to training the shoulders tend to, fatigue really quickly. I've always found for shoulder health and for progress, it's almost better for most lifters to train within the 8 to 10 rep range on their overhead press variations. It's a good program. It's probably a program that's, because it's full body, it's going to require a lot of time in the gym, especially if you get strong. So therefore, I have nothing bad to say about it. There are certainly things I would change. Let's see. Benoit, thank you. You are awesome. Thank you. Turned 50 on 7/1/20. Looking to be my best ever. Do it. I mean, the big problem with aging is people kind of think their life is over. Man, if I can do stupid stuff at age 52, you guys can as well. Just start slow. If I'm looking away from this camera, I'm looking over at my my computer to read the questions. So let's see. Funny fails and memes. They won't let us make noise during deadlifts and Pendley rows. Can't switch gyms. Any thoughts? You just got to work with what you got. I mean, it's a hard thing, but you got to do your very best. If you can't, if you're going to get kicked out of the gym for deadlifting, you're probably best to switch to Romanian deadlifts, or back those up with Dimmel deadlifts. Do what you can. Pendley rows, you just got to be smart about them. Those are exercises that tend to make a lot of noise. If they have any of those funky mats you can lay down, that would be great. If you can find rubberized plates or whatever, that's great as well. But outside of switching gyms or training at home, you got to play with the rules that you're given. And, you don't want to piss people off. It's their business. They have a right to run it how they want, even though we think it sucks. Luke Lane, what's your favorite muscle part to work out? Very good question. Probably back and triceps. I'd like to say just one, but back and triceps, I love heavy ass back work. I like to get into the gym and just do a lot of volume of back work, deadlifts or hex bar deadlifts, Pendley rows, dumbbell rows, seated cable rows, lat pull downs, inverted rows, machine row, or inverted inverted rows, machine rows. There's so many good back exercises, and then I just love to go in and hammer traps after that. Triceps as well. Triceps are my one of my favorite things to train. You get big and strong triceps, big and strong back. You're going to be going a long way as far as strength and muscle building. Adolfo Martinez, I'm 50 years old, been lifting with consistency for 6 years. My trap bar deadlift is 340, 14 and a half inch biceps, but isolation exercises don't seem to help. Isolation exercises are about 20% of your bread and butter. Right now, the best thing that can help you is to get stronger on compound movements. You need to get stronger on your pressing, your horizontal pressing, your vertical pressing, your rows. You need to get your rows up to 120 by 10s, your dumbbell rows. You need to increase your strength standards. That's what's going to help you that's going to be your base for bigger arms and bigger size. And above that, isolation exercises are the butter on the bread. You know what I'm saying? But you gotta get those triceps big as well. You gotta attack those triceps. If your arms are only 14 and a half inches, building up your triceps is with a lot of volume and a lot of strength is going to help. BBBR, can I get hormones regulated after dieting faster by less exercise and more food? Can I get hormones regulated after dieting faster by less exercise and more food? Hormone regulation, when we talk about hormone regulation, we have insulin, we have cortisol, we have testosterone, we have estrogen, we have human growth hormone. The best way to regulate anything in the body is to do the things we should know how to do. And that is get some sleep, try to reduce stress in your life, eat mostly clean foods, do some resistance training, and do some form of cardio that elevates your heart rate. From a real world standpoint, that's really all we can do. We can do things like take in our B12. Most of us tend to be B12 deficient, and vitamin D3, things like that. But outside of that, it's just eat healthy, exercise, get some cardio in, take D3, take B12, get some sleep, reduce stress, have a lot of sex, and that's really the best thing you can do. And I'm not being dismissive, but as a guy behind the camera like me, that's really the only quality advice I can give you. Michael Smith, is there going to be any workout tutorials in the future on your channel? I'm leaning that way. I made a video. Hold on, let me get these stupid Facebook Messenger notifications going. One thing about I made a video about dumbbell workouts. Sorry, I had too many things going on in my head there. Message popped up. So I'm thinking about it. Yeah, I'm looking at a camera this week. I'm trying to get a camera where I can do that. I got my GoPro. I got to figure out how to get it off fisheye fucking the settings, because I'm bad at that kind of crap. But if I can, I got a gym right back here, and I'd love to do some stuff. Let's see. I want to make sure I don't. Knowledge is power. Thoughts on SARMs? I'm going to be honest with you, and this might tick off a few people, but what's the point, really? What's the point? You're going to spend 30, 40, 50 bucks on something, and it's going to give you 1 or 2%, maybe, depending on what it is. I really don't see the value. Training hard and eating right and doing what you need to do, is going to go a long way to get you where you want to go. And I'm not a big fan of SARMs. I'm just not. Let's be realistic. There's not a lot of scientific evidence or studies behind them. There's a lot of hype and a lot of weak science. And at the end of the day, this is not just about building muscle. It's about health and longevity. And I don't want to put anything in my body that I'm really not certain what it's going to do. So we're all adults. You can do whatever you want to do, and you can listen to the opinions of other people, and I would never judge you for that. But I'm not a big fan. Not a big fan of them. I know some people use them. I have friends that use them, and some of them seem to be getting that, doing okay on them, and that's great. Just not enough evidence for me to even worry about them. Is there any BBBR? Is there any data studies to back up the fact that icing an injury is bad? That is a good question, but that is not my lane. I don't really know much about icing an injury. I do know that if you have pain, that icing it can help with pain. If you have stiffness or soreness, that heat can help. Just from a practical standpoint, I don't know of anything that points to the fact that icing an injury is bad. But if you have sharp pain, really, you really need to see a doctor about that and get that taken care of, because that's really what you would ice an injury, the type of injury you would ice. Michael Smith, is there going to be any workout tutorials in the future on your channel? Yeah, Michael, I'd like to do that. I am right now. I'm just been expanding my client base, and that's what I'm doing full time. And I am attending to my clients, and I'm also doing locally. I'm getting into wellness counseling, and that's taking up a lot of my time. But I'm trying to really focus on improving the quality and the content of my YouTube videos. And I would love for nothing more than in 2020 to be able to put together workout tutorials and tutorials on the workouts I created and stuff like that. So I do need some advice on a really good a camera to use for YouTube for that. So if anybody has an opinion, I'd be glad to hear it. You can leave it in the comments section below, or go over to Instagram at BenTheBarman, at BenTheBarman. Just a reminder, I'm going to drop a link down below after this video. If you need help with weight loss or power building, I offer coaching services. I have about 5 slots available right now. Weight loss coaching, first month is free. First month is free, no catch. It's a 4-month commitment, but it's only $80 a month after the first month. Power building coaching, I help people build muscle, build strength. That is more of a long-term investment. But it's only $50 a month after the initial investment. So the links are going to be down there after this video is done. All right, end commercial. Let me get back to the questions, guys, and just hold tight. Post all the questions you want. I'll stay on as long as I can. Mike Bell, ever had any problems with bloating on creatine? No. creatine tends to pull muscle water weight in your muscles, and it's not really going to bloat. You could have some people might have stomach issues with it. I'm not ruling that out. That's a possibility. But other than that, um, there's not a lot of downsides of creatine. I've never had that. I've never heard of anybody have it, but it's certainly not without the realm of possibility. Putting anything in your stomach could be an irritant, especially when you put a powder. It could be an irritant for some, and it could cause bloating for some. Um, Sometimes the gut microbiome is a pretty complex system, and it could take a while for your gut to get used to that as well. So I certainly couldn't rule it out, but I've never had an issue with that. Funny fails and memes. They said no noise during deadlifts and pendlay rows, and I can't switch gyms. I just addressed that. Um, Whoops, I think I just read that one again. Sorry about that. Thoughts on deadlift rows? I'm not sure what a deadlift row is, to be honest with you. What's going on, Tom? Maybe you could clarify. Thoughts on cold showers? This was a lot of hype, but I think I read a story. Maybe somebody can back me up on this. I read I believe a piece recently that said they're absolutely not worth it. There's no value in it. There's not much to it. So after reading that piece, I just kind of flushed that whole thing down the toilet. Obviously, I'm not one that would do that type of stuff. I think a lot of that stuff is overthinking. I'm not going to use that for recovery. I just feel like it's just, there's so many things. What are you trying to improve? Recovery by 5% by torturing yourself with a cold shower? That's just my opinion. I've never been into things like that. I've never had that problem with recovery to the point where I had to seek out, going into a shower nude and blasting cold water on my penis. I'll just pass on that. Thank you. Do you do weighted chin-ups? I've always sucked at chin-ups and pull-ups, but I did when I was younger. I would do weighted chin-ups and pull-ups. One thing I recommend to my clients is when you add weight, you add weight with a reasonable rep range and add it slowly. One thing I see a lot of people do is try to add weight too quickly on weighted chin-ups and pull-ups. I recommend 10, 12, 15 rep sets. When you can do 3 of those, then get a backpack or whatever, a weighted belt, and add 5 pounds. When you can do 3 sets of 10, 12, or 15, move up to 10. Take it slow. For some reason, when it comes to weighted pull-ups or chin-ups, I see people kind of rushing into trying to add weight and treating it like a 1 rep max exercise. Just be careful with that. Let's see. Hammer curls are a great bicep exercise. I've always found them to be valuable. You can use a lot more weight, so they are definitely a good exercise. Anthony says tips for squatting if you're tall. I'm 6'3". Good question. Over at Tiger Fitness and on YouTube, I did a series with a friend of mine. We actually did a video where we were battling Chris Gethin in the deadlifts, and we put together a video on deadlifting and squatting for tall lifters. So generally, I don't funnel people to other channels, but at Tiger Fitness, there's an article on squatting and deadlifting for tall people, and on the Tiger Fitness YouTube channel, we got him on there deadlifting and squatting for tall people. So I would check that out. Let's see, Ben, what's going on, Ben on Adventures? I was forced to take time off flat and incline bench because of Christmas stuff in the garage. It got my dumbbell floor press up to 100 for 5x10. That's a pretty darn strong dumbbell floor press, so well done. Anytime you get to 100s on dumbbells on pressing movements, bench pressing movements, you're doing great. What's going on, Hawk? Let's see. Your contributions to the fitness community is awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. I just continue to grind away. Knowledge is power. Best protein. I am no longer working at Tiger Fitness, so I have no horse in this race. But I will tell you that MTS Nutrition I trust because I know where it's manufactured. I know the quality level, and the flavoring is good. So anytime anybody asks me, I recommend MTS Nutrition. I know the quality level of that. That doesn't mean other companies aren't as good. I just don't have personal experience with them. I stick with what I like. I stick with what I know, and I don't get any money from this. I don't get any commissions, no affiliate links, anything like that. That's just what I use in my household, MTS Nutrition. Let's see. Dan Khan, Singapore. What's going on, Singapore? Do you think people usually poorly estimate RPE? I'm not a big fan of RPE, and there's nothing wrong with RPE. I just don't want to guess, right? It's like judging figure skating at the Olympics. How was my little twirly whirly movement? Was it a 7? Was it an 8? I don't fucking know. Excuse my language. That's too much thinking for me. That's why I'm more of an auto-regulated progression guy. And again, I have nothing against RPE. I just prefer auto-regulated progression where I push a set for as many safe reps as I can get, and I stop before I feel like I'm going to fail in the next rep or before my form breaks down. So I try to focus on good form and maximum quality reps, and I use that more as my guiding posts than RPE. But do people poorly estimate RPE? I mean, you really can't take a bunch of beginners and expect them to be a good judge of how close they are to max level, because they simply don't have that experience. Until you have a decent level of experience, it's definitely harder to judge an RPE. Let's see. What do we got next? Credence. I'm a big fan. Truly, your videos and transformation fuel me every day. Thank you. That's an honor, and I appreciate that. How old are you? I am 52. I will say a sexy 52, if you will, if you just allow an old man to just call himself sexy. But seriously, I'm 52. Let's see, Ben. Thoughts on blood flow restriction training? I don't think I've heard your thoughts on it. Here's the deal. All right. For most of us, if you're natural, you're going to have a natural potential, right? Doing stuff like that is just, whether it works or whether it doesn't work, it's not going to really expedite your ability to get to your natural potential. It's just not. I find the whole concept a waste of time. In my world that I live in, many people come to me and they want to get more strength and more muscle. I have to focus them on the fundamentals because most people are not doing the fundamentals. When we start to include other things into this mix and muck up and muddy the water, we get people doing blood flow restriction and all kinds of monkey horse shit monkeying around in the gym when they really need to be focused on the fundamentals. I'm a fundamentals guy, right? And I will say this: if you are squared away, if you are doing all the right things in the gym and making progress, and you want to try to squeak out an extra 25% and fuck around, look like a with a band on your arm in the gym, and somebody's gonna hate me for saying that, but that's have at it. I got nothing against that. It's your life. Give it a try, but at the end of the road, after 4 or 5 days, it ain't gonna make any difference with your gains, because naturals have a finite amount of gains. From here, as a beginner, to your natural potential, you can do all the monkey shit you want, right? But whether you do it or you don't do it, if you're training properly, you're going to get close to your natural potential with or without all the monkey shit. So if you want to try all the monkey shit, it's completely up to you. All right, let me get some coffee. Please hammer me with questions. I'll stay on as long as you guys are available. Let's see. Let's see. It's got a question that was filtered by Tom, and I had to approve that. It says, F your gym by used equipment. Yeah, honestly, if I am at a gym that won't let me deadlift, you can go on Craigslist. You can go on Facebook Marketplace. You can find a lot of really cheap equipment. So I would, that's a really good option. That's probably one of your best options. Having a home gym where you can, even if even if you just buy a deadlift bar or a bar and some plates, and that's all you want to do, just have them at home for back day, it would be worth it. But yeah, that's always a really good option. Let me just make sure I didn't miss any questions. Corey was taking creatine for over 10 years and always had problems with bloating. I couldn't figure it out. Yeah, I mean, it's going to happen like that for some people. Obviously, I'm not a vegan, but I know when you research different diets, when you change your diet, like some people change to a vegan diet, and it takes a while for their gut microbiome to adjust, and some people don't see an adjustment, and they just don't feel well. They feel bloated or awful. That can really happen with anything that's stomach related. So it's certainly a possibility. Thoughts on Alpha Destiny's novice program? I really have never looked at it. I mean, I kind of stay in my lane. I get a lot of questions about, people's workouts. If you send them to me on my Instagram at Ben the Barman, I'd be willing to look at it. The only thing with my schedule, I don't have time to hunt down other people's workouts, but if you send them to me, I'd be happy to look at it. Or if you paste it in here, I'd be happy to look at it as well. Just don't over spam. Oh, I got a phone call. Let me just kick them to the curb. All right, what do we got here? Thoughts on testosterone boosters from vitamin stores. All right, here's the thing. Testosterone can go like this, right? It's rarely ever the same level for most people throughout the course of their life, day in and day out. Stress and eating and all that kind of good stuff can cause a little bit of fluctuation. There is some indication that some ingredients can help kind of smooth out that curve and make it a little bit more stable. Are we talking a big difference? No. I would consider a testosterone booster as something that has the potential to smooth out the rough edges, but not give you a big boost. It's not going to give you a big boost, in my opinion. The biggest thing you can do to handle your testosterone level is to eat right and not only lift, but get in some form of cardio where your heart rate is elevated. Get out in the sun. There's more value in taking D3 and B12, to be honest with you, in my opinion, and eating right and exercising, go frickin' hiking. That's a better investment of your money, in my opinion. Men come to me and they want to work on their hormone levels, because hormones can be a serious issue for a lot of us. Get out in the sun, go hiking, take your D3, take your B12, clean up your diet a little bit, 10-20%. Go do something that gets your heart rate elevated. That's a better investment, in my opinion. Let's see. Aniket, does squat on Smith machine is Smith machine squats bad? There is a way you can do any exercise to make them more safe, to make them more viable. Is any exercise bad if you do it correctly and properly for your body type, and you take and learn how to do it optimally? It probably isn't bad, but if you're looking to, is it the same as squats? No. There's nothing that is the same as squats. There are exercises that are similar, like front squats. Any exercise you do, you need to learn to do right, and if that's all you have access to, then become the master of Smith machine squats. So there's very few exercises I'll ever call bad, right? But just take your time and learn them. But one thing I'll say, if you're looking for a reason to not squat, I'll never enable futility. Always push yourself, always seek to do the things you do not want to do, because that'll make you the person that you want to be. All right. Saving up money for your Massive Iron book. Support from Malaysia. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Let's see. Credence. I've been struggling with bicep tendonitis and I can't bench. Credence, I got many videos on this channel about elbow tendonitis. Just go to my main page and search that out. The biggest thing you can do is get yourself a pair of VersaGrips. VersaGrip Pros are like $55. Mine are 10, 11 years old, still using them. They're one of the best investments you can make. when you are doing any type of row or pull, all that grip work is going to contribute to elbow tendonitis. And I know from coaching people and counseling people, when they move to Versa grips or something like that and just are able to relax their grip a little bit and let the Versa grips do a little bit of the work, that really generally helps with their elbow tendonitis. So that is the best tip I can give you. Let's see. Knowledge is power. Can you lose weight and build muscle at the same time? I've had some clients do it, but they were brand new. They were newbies. Um, here's how it works. All right. The earlier you are into the process, the greater the chance you can build a little bit of muscle while you're losing fat. The deeper into the process you are, it's more of a fight just to maintain muscle. So absolutely, it is possible when you are a beginner. But the thing is, whether you can or you can't, you still have to train the same. So all you can do is focus on what you can control. The people I've seen do it have been newer to lifting. I'd had one client that went from 225 to 170, and he looked like a freaking beast, and he lost like 60 pounds, and he was squatting 315 by 5, starting from a beginner to 8 months after he was down the road. He was squatting 315 for reps. And I remember the first time I was in the gym with him, I taught him how to squat, right? So it can be done, but you got to grab those big juicy testicles and really attack that weight and attack your form and be meticulous. But at the end of the day, just focus on what you can control. Bill Leach. Love my home gym for sure. Yeah, I love having a home gym option. I also love having a commercial gym option because sometimes I just want a little bit of flexibility. So I love having both of those as options. Tomatillo, what's your protocol for warming up? I don't really do any warm-ups. That might sound scandalous to some. I used to stretch. I don't stretch anymore. On the big lifts, honestly, when I go into the gym and do squats or deadlifts or bench, by the time I get to my top set, I've been moving around the gym for 10 or 15 minutes. I've been moving plates around, moving equipment around, and my body temperature is pretty warm. And my central nervous system is primed because of my warm-up sets. So those are really two of the key ingredients in a warm-up. Getting your body temperature up, getting blood in your muscles, getting your core temperature up a little bit, and getting your central nervous system primed for lifting. Those are my two focuses, and those I can accomplish with warm-up sets and just moving around in the gym. But for most people, if you want to add 5 minutes of steady state cardio before you attack your weights, that's a good choice. If you have time for that. As far as stretching, I don't recommend that before lifting. But if you're really sore, your fascia is beat up, you might want to do a little bit of foam rolling just to kind of, loosen things up a little bit. All right, guys, I'm going to stay on for about another half an hour. Just drop your questions. If you need help, head over to my website, superlivingtoday.com, superlivingtoday.com. I got some really cool shirts, ton of cool shirts over there. Support Massive Iron. Come on, be part of the Massive Iron team. They're cheap as shit. Well, not the quality. I got my books, I got my bench press courses, I got form assessment services, all that kind of good stuff. I would love to help you if you guys are stalling or struggling, because that is what I do. Let's see. Big Hairy Ugly Dude, do you track macros or just hit your protein number? I don't track macros. I've never tracked macros. And I believe it's a good thing if you are trying to get super duper ripped, right? But for most of my clients, I tell them, make sure you hit your minimum protein level intake, make sure you hit your calorie goal for the day, and make sure you're eating 80% whole foods, clean foods, good foods. If you do that, you're probably going to get a good balance of carbs and fat. With your protein in place, if you're eating mostly healthy, you're going to get a good balance of carbs and fats. You want to watch that, though. Make sure you're not under eating fat, because you need fat for your organs, your brain, your skin, that kind of good stuff. And with your carbs, you just want to make sure you're getting in mostly good carb sources like oatmeal, like black rice, like quinoa, that sort of thing. Fuel yourself with good quality, good quality carbs. But I've never found value in managing macros. Now, some of my clients have to, because some of them have to keep an eye on carb intake, because for some people, when they're trying to lose weight, they really need to watch the carbs. Everybody is truly different. That's one thing you find out when you coach people for lifting or people for weight loss. Some people need to focus more on macros, because some folks I've had struggle to lose weight with higher carb intake, and we had to kind of play around with the macros a little bit, get them more protein, more fat. So I'm not sure if that answers your question. Let's see, what do we got next? Thoughts on seated barbell shoulder press versus standing press. That's a very good question. For the majority of my life, my lifting career, I've done seated pressing. I find this is for me personally, I like the stability of having my ass planted and something against my back. I like the stability. I think over the long run, for me, it's helped with my shoulders because there's less instability. The military press or the push press are good exercises. It's very personal. You can do whatever you like. I like to do seated pressing. I really do. I just, standing pressing, I don't like to feel unbalanced on my feet, especially with a weight over my head. And that's just personal preference. So to answer your question, there's really no best way. Use whatever variations you like, but don't discount a seated press just because somebody said so. Excuse me. Let me have a little bit of coffee here. Trent Hudson. Thoughts on regression or losing strength? The loss of strength can happen from a number of reasons. Inconsistent food intake, inconsistent protein intake, inconsistent sleep, life stress, obviously. If you're losing weight and you have to lose a lot of weight, there's going to generally be some strength loss involved unless you are a newbie. So I would need to know more information on strength loss. It's something you really need to dive into as a coach. When somebody is losing strength, I need to dive in and look at specifics. Let me see your diet from the last month. Let me see your gym efforts from the last month. How's your sleep been? So on and so forth. So you really have to get under the hood and look at things, to be honest with you. What's going on, Ken? What is going on, Ken? The original Rizik. I heard that using things like weight belts, wrist straps can keep your tendons weak. True. Are there any downsides? There are downsides. The hype about how weak and frail and fragile and brittle you're going to get, way too much hype, okay? I've been on the platform with the big boys, all right? The Lillibridges. They've called some of my lifts. They've told me, hey, man, next lift, go for this. Pete Rubish, and I've trained at Donnie Thompson's gym. At one point, he was the strongest man in the world. I got some pretty darn strong friends, right? So I've been around strong bodybuilders, strong powerlifters, and the benefits at a certain point of support far outweigh any negatives. The main negative and the hype over, weak tendons and stuff. Here's what I learned, okay? When I trained with Donnie Thompson, again, was the strongest man in the world for a while, strongest powerlifter in the world. That you can't just take off wraps and keep trying to do the same thing. There might be a little degree of weakness there, 10%, right? Because of the support. But the only downside to using support is if you take it off and you try to lift the same thing, you're going to increase the likelihood of injury. So if you use something, if you decide to not use it, you want to drop your weight a little bit and work back up. You will get back up to full speed at a very short period of time, but don't be afraid not to use it for support because you're afraid that your tendons might get weak. The benefits of using it for the people that need it far, far, far outweigh the negative. And the only negative, in my opinion, is if you take them off. You have to be smart. You have to be smart about dropping your weight and working back up. All right, let's see what else we got here, guys. Let's see, Michael Smith. I got a question for you, and I have no health problems. No health problems. I'm 260 pounds. That's where my weight wants to stay, and I keep getting stronger. I bench 280 for two, and I squat 405 for two, and I deadlift 405 for two. What's the question, Michael? Oh, wait, here it is. Should I worry about cutting or filling out my frame? Michael, what's your age? That helps me out. 260 pounds is kind of like the borderline, right? And I made a video about this just a few days ago. You might be okay now, but the more weight you carry around, eventually it's going to catch up to you, or it's very likely it's going to catch up to you. We know that. We know that weight places extra stress on your joints. It's physics, right? We know that weight places, all the extra mass places an extra strain on your heart. That's physiology. If you are younger and you want to fill out your frame and eat a little bit more aggressively, great. But at some point, you got to get your weight down because you are playing a game of risk reward. You know, are you going to risk your health? Are you going to risk back injuries? Are you going to risk knee injuries? Are you going to risk a heart attack? So you just have to know that as an adult. I don't tell anybody what they need to do, but I do try to educate them on the risks. So just keep that in mind. It would help to know your age because if you are over 40 and 260 and going to gain weight, chasing strength, my best advice, man to man, would be don't do it. Get your weight down and then chase strength. Because I've said it before and I'll say it again. When you're dead, your one rep max strength is zero. So don't play that game. All right. Every time I every time I squat, Michael Smith says, should I worry about cutting or just filling out my frame? Again, it depends on your age. Every time I squat, Mike Bell, which isn't enough, my legs are sore for 3 to 4 days. That's normal. And it hurts to walk. That's normal. Should I take it easier? No. You should not take it easier. That's normal. That's absolutely normal. You might want to have somebody look at your programming and make sure you're not doing too much or unnecessary amount of volume. But dude, that's absolutely normal. Did I just call somebody a dude? All right. Let's see what we got. Keep the questions coming, guys. I'll stay on as long as you have questions. Oh my goodness. Let's see what we got here. Ashy once trying to give advice to Michael Smith. And he said I would work on strength and cutting down a bit. Yeah, it's going to again depend on age. There's some variables here. Chad Banks, should 15-year-old boys lift heavy on 5x5? Asking for my son. I've trained teens. I've trained my daughter. My daughter had competed in 3 powerlifting competitions. What you want to do with a teen is you want to focus them on learning the movement patterns. I start teens on goblet squats. I start teens on dumbbells just to work with their stability, and certain barbell lifts are okay. Like I find that the squat is harder to teach than the deadlift, but don't be tossing them on a 5x5, some arbitrary program. It's better for them to get their reps in and practice their form and build strength that way. I mean, I'm not trying to bash a 5x5 program, but I think don't focus on programming right now. Focus on form. Focus on stability. Focus on the fundamentals. And you know, a 5x5 is not going to be magic for football. Let's put it that way. What's going to be magic is that he has good exercise form, a reasonable amount of volume, some form of progressive overload, and a really consistent diet, especially at his age. Don't make him do 5x5s on every movement. Don't do it at all. In fact, I would say on movements like bench press and squats, where he needs form practice, it's probably better to work at 6 to 10 rep range, but that's just my opinion. You can progress in that range just as easily as you can on a 5x5. Let's see, on 2 weeks ago, I did a 170 kilogram PR in deadlift, and since I can't do it anymore, here's my advice, and I'm not trying to be an asshole here. Stop fucking deadlifting for PRs every week. Stop doing it. Stop it. Stop doing it, okay? And I'm just giving you tough love. I'm not trying to be an asshole. But you can't. That's not the way to build strength. That is not the way to build strength. That is a way to injure yourself. Your central nervous system is trying to tell you to take a break. One thing that really irritates me, and and I'm sorry if it feels like I'm picking on you because that's not my intention. My intention is to help you build strength. Don't max out every week. Don't lift with your max weight every week. You don't need to do that. I tell people never lift above 90% on your deadlift unless you're at a competition. Don't do it. Build strength using a reasonable rep range. You know, my CNS can get fried from overtraining on deadlifts. There's times when I couldn't do 620 when my max was 675. Chill, slow down a little bit. That's my best advice. Victor, I've been on a calorie deficit for 8 months and my metabolism has decreased a lot. Should I increase back up to maintain and reset my metabolism? If you're losing weight, your body is going to require less calories to maintain it. There's too many variables involved. I don't know what your weight is. I don't know what your goals are. I don't know what your body is doing. I don't know if you're losing muscle. But it would help to know how many calories when you started your cut, how many calories were you eating and how much weight were you losing? And now, what's your weight and how many calories do you have to eat to lose weight? That would help me out. It also helps me out to know your age as well. So if you could post those down below, I could take a look. Let's see. If you lose weight, do you have to drop your current heavy weights? If you're trying to lose weight, you should not train with really low rep sets, because what's going to happen is it's very likely your strength is going to decrease and you're going to get under the same weight that you could do before, and you're going to increase the risk of injury. So there's a very good chance you're going to get a little bit weaker during a period of weight loss, but you have to train smart when you're doing that. Derek says, I agree, can't be big forever. Nope, can't be big forever. You know, it's look, I was talking to somebody the other day, a client, and I said, he said, you know what doesn't motivate me? It doesn't motivate me to lose weight to live longer, because he would rather have a quality of life than worrying about how long he lived. And I can respect that. That's his call. It's his life. He can do whatever he wants with it. But, you know, being big can impact your quality of life. And, you know, it's really not just about how long we live. It's about how well we live, right? Who wants to feel miserable? So, you know, you can't be big forever, but in the process, you know, you don't want to be miserable either. Let's see, American Con, can you recommend a brand style of weight belt? I have a bulging disc and I'm trying to stay in the game. The only brand I specifically have experience with is Longhorn. If you Google Longhorn custom belt, you can get a belt handmade to you, okay? And that's probably of value. It's going to cost you 100 bones or whatever it costs, 120 bucks, 80 bucks, I forget, it's been a while. But I would look into a custom 10 millimeter belt. I would. I think that's your best bet. Let's see. Hat fits you perfectly. Look, I like this hat so much, I have 4 of them. I got hats everywhere. I do. I'm an outdoors guy. I live outdoors. I like my hat. So thank you. What we got here? Derek Johnson. I started with deadlifting at 15, didn't do squats till 17, and I've hit a 405 squat, 540 deadlift, and 275 bench. Did hypertrophy workouts till I focused on competing. That's really good strength, Derek. That's excellent. That's wonderful. Looks like you're... Sorry, it just died. That's YouTube. Welcome to life on YouTube. But Derek, I was just saying, you started deadlifting at 15. Man, you are on the right track. You're doing absolutely wonderful. Guys, just keep plowing your questions down. I will stay here all day as long as you get questions. I go through every single question. When I get to the end, there's no more questions. I will just kill the video. All right, what do we got here? Derek goes on to say, increase calories while cutting, but I increase calories while cutting by increasing calories. I think that helped me gain strength while losing 20 pounds. Um, with some people, it's all attitude. Some people are just absolute beasts. So, let's see. Neo, thanks for the effort you put into helping us. Thank you. I appreciate the support. One thing I always want to do is bring a fresh air of no bullshit into this shitty ass poser filled, fake filtered, phony, fake fitness world. It's not just about sticking your ass in the camera. These we're real people with real lives and real goals, and I'm glad that anybody finds my information valuable. Let's see. Derek says, like garbage. I'm only 5'10". I'm not sure what that's in reference to. Gunval, can you build a huge chest with weighted push-ups only? Good question. Thank you, Mike Bell. Thank you. Can you build a weighted? If you do weighted push-ups, man, you could. If you increase progressive overload, it's probably a pretty good exercise for building a bigger chest. But at the end of the day, I don't feel using only one exercise is a good way to try to attack the muscle building process. Multiple prong attacks are always better. Can you get good results by progressively overloading push-ups? Yeah, it's probably a good baseline exercise potentially, but the logistics of eventually putting 200 pounds into a backpack and doing push-ups with them, I think logistically there would be some issues there. So I don't know. I don't really know what more to say about that. Push-ups are a great exercise. I do them, but I don't think they're going to be great alone for building muscle mass. At some point, you're just going to have too much weight on your back. It's just going to be a logistic nightmare. Let's see. Joshua, a lot of things that improve quality of life also lengthen life, it seems. That is indeed true. Alejandro Sanchez, what's your recommended weekly set volume for the major muscle groups? Chest, legs, back, and shoulders. Good question. 9 bare minimum. Generally 12 to 15 is kind of a sweet spot for me, whether you're doing a full body, upper, lower, or whatever. I mean, if you're doing a full body or an A-B split, 12 kind of works. Anything more than that, more than like 4 sets a day for every muscle group can be a pain in the butt. But if you're moving on to a split, up to 15 a week is plenty. Dating advice. All right, finally some off-topic questions, you little saucy little nuggets. All right, dating advice. Wait. All right, wait for the right one. Don't settle. Do not settle. Get out there, put your fishing pole in, cast it out there, and just when you get a fish on there, just enjoy it. Don't pressure yourself. Don't worry about whether you're going to get married. Don't worry about what's the next step. Do we have to be in a relationship? Go have fun. Don't do a second date with somebody you really didn't connect with on the first date. Don't waste their fucking time. All right, don't do that. Get out there and just see what's out there. Take your time. Don't pressure yourself. Don't feel pressure to get into a relationship. Don't second date somebody they might be a nice person, but you really don't need to go out on a second date with them if you didn't feel a spark. And just wait. And one big thing is, if you don't have a lot of confidence, you know what? If you don't have a lot of confidence, just don't go out on a date and act like an asshole, an insecure, I'm not good enough for anybody asshole, because nobody wants to deal with that. If you're that person, you got to find a way to improve yourself, realize you have some value for the right person. So I hope that helps some. All right. What's the black symbol on your hat, Browning? Let's see, where are we at? I don't want to miss anything. Devil Dog, you skipped over my question. Absolutely. Whenever YouTube does this a lot. Somebody will post a question, I don't see it. So if I miss your question, just post that up again. What do we got here? Let's see. Devil Dog, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Christopher Lenz, why do guys squat barefoot? Some people just like the feel, but you know what? It makes me nervous because if my feet are wet or sweaty and they're on a mat, I'm just afraid they're going to lose grip or traction. So if somebody wants to do it, that's great. I think there are potential downsides if you're a sweaty Betty like me. But I think they feel like they get a better grip. Just make sure your feet aren't sweaty because that just comes with too many potential downsides. Could you give an explanation of volume, intensity, and frequency, and how to rotate between the three for programming? All right, volume, intensity, and frequency are 3 points on a triangle. If you have the triangle and you balance the center of your finger, right? If all things are equal, if you add more volume, the triangle is going to tip. So you have to, when it comes to volume, intensity, or frequency, when you increase one, like volume, you have to either decrease the intensity or decrease the frequency or both. As far as programming, the way programming should really work is that during the bulk of your programming year, you need to be doing a reasonable amount of volume and not doing super intensity. If you're peaking for strength, there's going to be a 10, 12-week peaking period where you're reducing the volume, but you're increasing the intensity. So basically for programming, if your goal is strength, you're going to have a period of time where you're working on work capacity, where you're working on your volume, okay? And you're getting stronger in those volume ranges. And then that could be 4, 6, 8 months. And then you can go into a peak where the volume goes down, but the intensity goes up. That's a stupid simple approach. That's not the only approach. There's many other approaches. You can certainly cycle volume different ways over the bulk of your program. I made a video the other day about step loading. You can step load and do a longer peak. But at some point, you really need to have a substantial period of your training year where you dedicate it to work capacity and getting strong with volume so you can increase your muscle mass, your hypertrophy, build a base for future strength gains. It's a very, very complicated topic. The one thing you really want to understand is you do not want to train with intensity all year round. This is a huge mistake that has found its way into fitness and lifting, and it drives me batshit crazy. Stop doing fucking 1 rep max every damn week. That's not how you build strength. That's how you get injured. All right. So if you want to build strength, we've lost the memo. We don't understand there's an off season and a peaking season. So the best advice I can give to you is stop training with intensity year round. Once you become an advanced lifter, you have to become more smart about your programming. But for the rest of us, a good base is to train with volume for the majority of the year, and then do peaking. Then do peaking where you reduce the volume and increase the intensity. David, Jose, 5x5 deadlift on a back day or a leg day. If you're having a back day or a leg day, 5x5 will be on for deadlifts. Deadlifts will be on your back day because your leg day is going to be squat focused, and you really don't. If you're having days like that, you really don't want to be doing squats and deadlifts on the same day. Ain't nobody got time for that, right? Dude, I'm a fan of yours from Norway. Appreciate your support. Do you know any strong men from Norway? No, I do not. I have clients all over Europe, from Scotland to Ireland to Germany to you name it. But I do not. I have one client from Norway, but he is not a strong man competitor, so I do not. Have you tried yoga with Alan? No, but I've tried excessive drinking with Alan, and that was pretty darn fun. I've lifted more than a few times with Alan, done a couple of sit-foos with Alan, done a lot of things with Alan, but have not yet done yoga with Alan. It would be pretty funny, though, because I would look pretty ridiculous. Credence. My shoulder has been in pain, and I think it's my bicep tendonitis. Should I stop benching and strengthen the rotator cuff? Honestly, if your shoulder's in pain, the best thing you can do is see a doctor. There could be an impingement issue, all right? If you are struggling with things in that, like pulling your elbow back like that, it could be an impingement issue. You could also have a rotator cuff issue. You could also have both of those and elbow tendonitis. So it's really too complex. I'm not a doctor and I'm not trying to be dismissive, but you really need to see a doctor about any shoulder pain, especially shoulders, because you do not want to screw around with shoulder pain. Devil Dog, I have not seen your question. Oh, there it is. 12 right shoulder dislocations with with Bankert lesion repairs. Can bench, but cannot get my arm into position to squat normally. Are you saying close grip, Devil Dog? Because if why do you always seem so angry? Rah! Jesus Christ! What the fuck? I'm angry. Have you not seen a passionate adult male before? All right, back to Devil Dog's question. I'm like the least angry guy on the planet. I've just run 230 days for a paralyzed boy. I dedicate my life to helping people. If you find me angry, you know what? I hope you can find some bubble wrap. Sometimes I'm going to be honest, but that's not anger. All right, sorry, Devil Dog. If you're trying to get your arms in a position like this, and I don't know all the information, one possible way to do it is to go wide. The bigger I got, the harder it was to squat with a narrow grip. With a narrow grip, so I had to go really wide. If you can't do that, your only really alternatives are to find a Bode bar or a Buffalo bar. That's a really, really good option if you're training at home. If you can't do that, a Smith machine squat, might be a good alternative. You can also do a lot of really, really, really crazy supersets, like leg presses with leg extensions, leg presses with step ups, hack squats and leg presses, all kinds of stuff. So if squats just aren't working for you, the wider arm grip is a big one. The Bode bar is a big one, that kind of thing. And beyond that, you could try Smith machine squats, or you could just try some really crazy supersets for legs. Paul DeVito. Wait. I think I missed a few questions here. Let me not screw up. Let's see. Gunvald, thank you for your response. I started to work on it at home, and that's why I was wondering. One thing I really think you can do a lot with at home is body weight and dumbbells. You can get spin lock dumbbell handles on Amazon or even at Walmart, and they're fairly inexpensive. And you can find standard plates at on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, and they're usually very, very inexpensive. One thing I do recommend if you have spin lock dumbbells at home is to get 2 sets, because changing between 80 pounds or 100 pounds on dumbbell bench and then changing down to 25 pounds on side lateral raises is going to drive you crazy. So have 2 sets of dumbbells. You'll really appreciate that advice. Let's see. Marvel or DC Comics guy? Yes, an off-topic question. I'm a Marvel guy. I've always been a Marvel guy. When I was 5 years old, I had my appendix out and I was trapped in a hospital, and my dad brought me in Fantastic Four and Spider-Man, and I've always connected with Marvel. I like, as I got older, I appreciated Superman a little bit. Never been a Batman guy, but outside of Superman, I'm absolutely a Marvel guy. I just love the old school stories, Spider-Man and Doc Octopus, in the early Spider-Man, the old Fantastic Four stories, just very immersive adventure stuff like that. Always been a Marvel guy. Do you like fasting? Many of my clients fast. I think it's a really good way to not overeat and to regulate eating. I think it's a wonderful thing for many people, because it's easier to regulate weight. And I fasted on and off for about 5 years. I went from straight intermittent fasting to the point where I was adding in just a little bit of protein powder during the day. And obviously that's not strict fasting, and it triggers people to call that fasting. But eating less during the day or straight fasting, yeah, I felt good that way. I felt decent. And I was getting strong. So, I had no issues with it at all. If it fits your lifestyle, absolutely use it. The only thing I don't like is turning something into a dogma, saying, I'm fasting, so therefore I have to fast every single day of my life, and I'm not going to go to Thanksgiving or whatever and eat grandma's pie because it's not 5 o'clock yet. Don't be that douchebag. Don't be that person. Please don't. Please don't. No eating protocol should take you away from enjoying life and social events with other people every single day of the year. So just don't be that person. What's your thoughts on the clean and press? I think that's a really good combination. It has to be programmed incorrectly. And, when you study how to do a set and rep scheme properly with clean and press, I think it's a good combination. I've always sucked at Olympic lifts, but I've always sucked because they've never really been an interest of mine. Not that they're bad. I just don't like them. I just prefer other movements. But I think that combination is really, really good. Phil DeVito, can you make gains after 50? Yes, you can. You have to be smarter. You have to listen to your body and existing injuries, but you can. Making progress, strength and muscle building is all in your head and your heart and your drive. You just have to be smart about it. This guy spends 10 minutes on one question, LOL. This guy being mean. Man, I will spend 10 minutes on everybody's question, because if you give me a question, I'm going to take it seriously. So I'm sorry, but you know what? I'm just doing my best to help people out and answer the question properly. What's going on, Thaddeus? How can I get bigger arms? Go to the main page of my YouTube channel and find that little search button and search triceps and biceps. I guarantee you'll find like 100 videos that'll give you a wealth of free information that'll help you get bigger arms. Get stronger. 80% of your big compound movements, 80% of your bread and butter, get strong on rows, get strong on presses, overhead presses, and then get your triceps strong and do a little biceps work. All right, what do we got next? I already went, Stefan, why do you seem so angry? Probably because you live in a safe space. Let's see. Stefan says, point proven. Stefan, I'm going to give you a big round of go fuck off and hide you from this channel. Thank you. How's that for anger, Stefan? Was that enough anger? What angers me is when people waste my time and the time of my viewers. So, Stefan, go fuck off. How's that for anger? Let's see. Christopher, if I miss your calories, please post them up. Or your calories, sorry, I was reading the question. If I miss your question, please post them up again. How many calories should I take so that I can build more muscle for powerlifting? His weight is 80 kilograms, about 6 foot, pretty normal weight. You want, with powerlifting, with strength building, the biggest mistake I made was adding weight too quickly, okay? So what I always recommend for my powerlifting clients is that they add weight slowly, just a slight surplus. Because if you're going to ride that horse, you want to ride it as long as possible, just a slight surplus. You don't want to gain a ton of weight that first year. What you'd rather do is just gain weight slowly over the course of the next 3 or 4 years and get as much value as you can out of slowly gaining weight. So I would say 300 calorie surplus, 200 calorie surplus. Watch the scale. Make sure you're not gaining more than a pound a month the first year. After that, maybe 6 to 8 pounds tops. But I'm just tossing stuff out there, right? But you just, the key is to gain weight slowly, to just be in a slight surplus. You'll get the most amount of strength over the long run. You don't want to bulk up to like 280, the first 2 years, and then be a fatty like I was, and then, ask yourself, what am I going to do for strength gains now? Let's see. I asked a question. Can you help me? You're not angry. Trust me, I'm not angry. But, if you fart in my general direction, you will get what you deserve. How many okay, I did that. Let's see. Stuff in the world must scare you. Yeah. Some people, passion is not anger. Anybody that has met me, I give my time freely to people. And look, you piss me off. I'm gonna tell you to fuck off. That's what you get what you deserve. That's not anger. That's karma. All right, enough of that bullshit. All right. Merry Christmas. Thanks for changing my life. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's the greatest honor you can have in life is impacting somebody else. Devil Dog says I'm 5'6", so Wolverine. Yep, Wolverine all the way. Singing, dancing, Muscle Man. Would you ever consider collabing with Juji Mufu, Iron Lou? If they found value in it, absolutely. Let's see. And he puts Big J. Met Big J many times. Eaten with Big J a few times. My wife's met Big J. I don't train like Big J, and I don't train like Aaron Bugenhagen anymore. I'm still strong. Don't get me wrong, but I don't train like that. So I don't think I would do those guys justice. They're machines, and I'm a step below being a machine. So, Sean Solomon, your thoughts on vegan protein? Protein powder or just protein? We've tried to incorporate a more plant strong diet just for health and micronutrients, but we still eat our meat. Don't panic. But there are really good vegan protein sources out there. You just need to know how to, what you like and what to take in, and how to plan your day so you get enough. There are some vegan protein powders out there, but you really got to do your research because some of them taste really grainy and some of them taste really awful. So I don't have a lot of deep thoughts on vegan protein. You just got to do your research and find things that you like, etc. Neo, thank you for the donation, Neo. I appreciate it. What do you want for Christmas? Non-health related. I appreciate the off-topic questions. It's nice to answer a few off-topic questions every now and then. What do I want for Christmas? That's a great question. I think my wife is getting me some old, like some of these big volumes of old Marvel comics, where you can have like the first, I don't know, 20, 30 issues of Spider-Man, some of the old stuff like that. I like stuff like that. I like books. I'm a big reader of books. Things like that. I like I think my wife's getting me a new wallet. I've had the same wallet for 50 million years. I like really good beer, right? So for Christmas, probably getting a few of those. Some nice expensive stuff. What's the best way to keep a pump? Well, I don't know about keeping a pump. I mean, the only way to really keep a pump is to probably do rest pause. Get your state where that muscle is pumped. That muscle is pumped, and just rest pause it and then attack it again. I think that's probably the best way. Rest pause. Necropop Digital. Do you play any video games? Actually, I'm getting a PlayStation 4 for Christmas. Back to Neo's question, a PlayStation 4. Yeah, I have really bad motion sickness, so a lot of games I can't play, like first-person shooters. So the games I can play, some of the favorites I've had over the years are Ico, Shadow of the Colossus, God of War, Skyrim, things like that. Those are probably my favorites of all time. So God of War, I've absolutely loved. Shadow of the Colossus, all-time favorite game. Just very cinematic, very immersive. I absolutely love that movie, or love that game because it plays like a movie. You won't like him when he's angry. Yeah, right. I'm such an angry soul. Damien, how bad is it to work out legs on slightly uneven ground? That is a great question. Very bad. The only injury I've had in my life, major injury, was a hamstring tear. And I found out after the fact that the ground in the gym was like this, and I've been squatting like that. What I started to notice when I was filming myself was that my butthole, when you look at your butthole moving down, it would turn to the side at the bottom of a squat. Uneven ground will cause a little bit of hip rotation in the hole. It's very, very bad. you need to find a way to even out that floor if possible. You know, some way or the other. Squatting in that environment is really bad. You can do lunges and things like that, but squatting, I think, is one of the worst things you can do um, on uneven ground. So it's just know that going in. Let's see. Alejandro, of all the topics you discuss in your channel, what's a topic that triggers the most people? That's a very good question. Natural potential is certainly at the top. When I tell people they can only get so big, and then they'll come back and say, I can get bigger than that. I'll prove to you. And they can't, because they just can't, because they don't know what natural bodybuilding is like. So that tends to trigger people. Um, you know, food topics tend to trigger people when I talk about specific diets not being magical. Like I made a video about keto, uh, you know, and the pluses and minuses, the pros and cons, and it triggers people. If I make a video about intermittent fasting, it triggers people. People can be very dogmatic about nutrition. I'm the opposite. You know, eat mostly good foods, take care of your body. Don't turn a meal plan into, don't turn a eating lifestyle into a religion. If you want to do fasting, great. But if you're out with friends and they want to take you out for breakfast, just break the fast. Go live a little bit. You don't have to do everything every single day. You don't get a gold star badge, you know, for fasting 365 days a week, or sticking to paleo 365 days a week, or sticking to keto 365 days a week. You know, so live, live, live. And when I tell people to live and balance, a lot of people get triggered, especially with nutrition. That has to be the top of the heap. Telling people to be balanced and reasonable pisses people off. Too many people off, not everybody. Let's see. P.S. Thanks for your non-gender specific terminology. You got it. We live in a crazy world, so I don't want to piss anybody off. You need to take. Neo says you need to take a lot of different vegan protein. Yeah, you do. You do probably need to consider taking in a lot of different sources. Paula, building upper body mass and lower body strength only possible. How to approach it? If you want to build only upper body or only lower body, I think you're saying you want to build upper body mass, but also lower body strength. With strength is going to come mass. That they're interconnected. Unless you're at the super advanced levels where you've already built a really solid strength base and you're natural, then it's going to be harder to build mass, but strength is going to come at a slow pace. You know, honestly, strength lends itself to mass. So I don't really know what to tell you. There's got to be you know, I would have to look at some specifics, Paul. I could probably help you out. But you know, with some suggestions, but I'd need to know a lot more about you know, your situation. Thank you, Anacat. Necropop Digital. My room looks like a 16-year-old took it over. I marvel all over it. Doing a Venom Spider-Man. Spider-Man's always my top guy. All right, guys, we're about to cap it out here for the day. Questions are run dry. We have two more questions left. Chilling Costa says, "Are you okay?" Yes, I are okay. Knowledge is power says, "Are you a truck guy?" Wish I had. Yeah, I'm more of a get me something 4x4 out in the Chilling Costa. I answered your question about arm size. So you're not paying attention. So yeah, I when it comes to being outdoors, I'm more functional. I want something where I can just get away, go where I want to go. So truck or Jeep or whatever. Let's see. Well, last chance for questions, guys. So if you got a question, thank you for taking time to share your knowledge. Thank you. Knowledge is power. And Gray says, please answer me, please. I will if you post a question. If you posted a question, I don't see it. YouTube messed me up, so please post it again. You're welcome, Devil Dog. Paul says, I'm impressed that you didn't skip my question, seeing my last name. No, I couldn't pronounce your last name, but no, I actually grew up next to a Polish family, and they had about 6 kids. They were Kluzas, Kluza. So I grew up in an area that was very diverse before anybody worried about diversity. My neighbors were Greek and Polish and Mexican, and we all just busted each other's balls every day. And at the end of the day, we got together and hung out. So it was a better world back then, in my opinion. Should I change workout routines for better gains? Workout routines have pretty much the same components, right? You have progressive overload, you have exercise selection. Uh, so different workout routines are like different ways to cook beef and rice or chicken and rice. They're basically just different recipes of the same ingredients. So you don't have to change workout routines to get better results, but sometimes it's just good because you want to try something different. Just remember that. Let's see. What's going on, Victor? Getting back TPM, getting back into it after a 30-year layoff. I'm 54 years old, doing full body Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with some isolation work. Is that too much? No. No, it's not too much. You just want to listen to your body. Don't stick to a program just for the sake of sticking to a program. If you have to be willing to make changes based on what your body is telling you. So just be willing to do that. Don't do too much volume. Do a reasonable, moderate, a very moderate amount of volume. Focus on slow, steady progression and listening to your body. Let's see. Is ketosis healthy? Can I make gains without carbs? When I was 346 pounds, I switched to meats, fruits, and vegetables and healthy fats. So it was a low carb-ish diet. It wasn't keto. But the one thing I found was that my body adapted after about 4 weeks, and I felt great, absolutely great. So you can make gains as long as your drive is there, really no matter what type of diet you're on. One dish meals, quick, exactly. One dish meals, examples. All right. What I like to do for one dish meals is I'll get out a big skillet. Okay. Let me just send this Facebook Messenger away. I'll get out a big skillet and I'll cook my veggies. Red bell pepper, yellow bell pepper, and then I'll add some mushrooms, which isn't a veggie, I know. And then I'll add in onion, then I'll add in broccoli or whatever I want to put in a ton of veggies. And then I'll put in usually 2 protein sources, beef and shrimp, chicken and beef, whatever. And then I'll just have all that in one pot. I'll put salt and pepper, a little bit of light soy sauce. Obviously, I'll put hot sauce on mine. Maybe just a really, you can add in non-fat Greek yogurt for creaminess, and just a little bit of Chinese sauce or, whatever you want. A little bit of barbecue sauce, a little bit. Not, I don't want to add a lot of sugar into that mix, but that's a really easy one pan meal. That takes us no time at all. We just dump the veggies in, dump the meat in, dump a little bit of seasoning in, and we're off. That is my go-to. It's really easy to do. One thing I do as well, we do often, is we have a big container that has a mix of white and black rice. We put that in the rice cooker, and in the pan, we just put like 10 eggs and some veggies. While that's cooking, we just let it cook, and then the rice is cooking. We just combine them, and that's a really great meal because you have healthy fats, you have protein, you have carbs, you have white and black rice, and then you have veggies in the mix. So it's a really simple. Those are our big 2 go-to meals when we're in a rush. Victor, I asked earlier about resetting metabolic rate after being in a deficit for a long time. Still eating at 1,800, but hovering around 180 pounds. At some point, it's going to become about small changes, moving it to 1,700 pounds and maybe getting in a little bit of movement. When you are running at that level, it's probably a good idea to make really small changes. Probably a good idea to increase, instead of dropping calories, to increase movement a little bit. Not a lot, but sometimes the smallest changes will make a difference. So I would do that. When you're trying to get ripped, it really comes down to micromanagement of things like that. So let's see. Can you give your view on Reg Park's Mr. Universe course, please? Been a long time since I looked at that course specifically. So I would have to look at it. Maybe I'll do a video on that if you can remind me over on Instagram at Ben the Barman, at Ben the Barman. If you guys have any questions that I missed, head over to my Instagram at Ben the Barman, at Ben the Barman, and post them up. Woodalus. Bought Massive Iron a month ago. Already gained 2 pounds and feeling stronger. Wish I had this book 20 years ago. Thank you. One thing Massive Iron does is takes people and shows them, look, this is the fundamentals. Just do this and you'll be okay. You can do the other stuff, but if you do this, you're going to be okay. Best way to build lower traps. Your traps are a very strong muscle group. So you want a base of deadlifts or hex bar deadlifts and strong overhead press. That's those bases have to be in play. And then when it comes to trap work, one thing you need to understand is that there's a very limited range of motion, right? I look like infinite edge intensity, very limited range of motion. So what does that mean? A very mild time under tension. So you basically have to do a little bit more volume for your traps. Again, the traps are a very strong muscle group. So to build them, you have to do a lot of volume, a little bit, when I say a lot, like not super crazy, but more volume than you would do for normal muscle groups. And you have to tax them with heavy weights. So don't be afraid to do that. Add your overhead presses in, add your deadlifts in, and you can even do things like static holds as well. That, in my opinion, is the best base for trap building. Thank you, Tom. Merry Christmas. Knowledge is in power. Appreciate everybody's support. Let's see. Jonathan is using ibuprofen to bench press through shoulder soreness. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm an ibuprofen guy. You just don't want to overuse it. If you're using it only on bench day, you're probably absolutely okay. Andre, I want to do a full body 7 days a week because I highly believe in frequency. Should I only do 2 sets or 5? I'm going to be honest with you, and I hope you don't take offense to this, but don't lift every day. Don't. You're going to need a couple days off. I did a program called a Drunk Russian where I did a full body 5 days a week. But at some point, you want to give yourself a break because it's not just the muscles. You have tendons, you have joints. You're going to beat the living crap out of your body, even if you do a lower volume. So you can do 1, 2, or even 3 sets a day. Honestly, don't train 7 days a week. I just don't believe in it. Give yourself some time off. Get some other activities, some other hobbies, right? Because you got to get stronger to build muscle. It's not the full body 7 days a week. You got to get stronger to build muscle. So when you get stronger and as you get stronger, as the intensity is going up of your workouts, you can't have that kind of frequency. It's going to catch up to you. So just keep that in mind. All right, Cyber, thank you. You have a good holiday season. Merry Christmas to you too, Mr. Batista. And it said, Mike Bell, smashing arms twice a week in arm wrestling and my tendons took a beating. Yep, that's overuse. All right, guys, I'm out of here, an hour and a half. I appreciate all the questions. If I missed your questions, check out my Instagram at Ben the Barman, at Ben the Barman. Send me a question. I'm going to drop a link to coaching. Free first month of Fat Loss coaching. Check that out down below. And power building coaching available as well. Also, head over to my website, superlivingtoday.com, superlivingtoday.com. Get you a nice Massive Iron t-shirt. I make like $2, $3. It's, you know what? Buy me a protein bar. All right, love you guys. Have a great weekend.